This is the People in Profit podcast, featuring your host, Nes Velasquez, a multi-six-figure industry influencer and investor. Learn tips, ideas, and strategies as we cover various topics and interviews you can use to experience further financial increase. Let's get started.
In the sale of a lifetime, okay, after the crash, in the beginning of the next expansion, this is how you can profit in several ways. Profiting in investments. When the bubble fails, be sure you're ready with cash, T-bills, and high-quality CDs. High-quality long-term government bonds, treasuries, and AAA corporate bonds. Now, Harry S. Dent Jr. continues, and he says, and I quote, "And be sure to stay away from utility stocks, junk bonds, real estate, gold, silver, and commodities." He also gives us alerts in one of the final chapters here. So, sale of a lifetime opportunity alerts. I wrote several of these things down so I can share them with you today. Number one, bet on the dollar via the PowerShares DB US Dollar Bullish ETF. Until we see the dollar go to 120 on the dollar index, it is open season. Here's another one. Sell gold around 1400. You can also buy put option on gold or buy an inverse fund like DGZ with a first target of $700 an ounce. Here's the third one. Short oil or frackers. Either will do. Oil could lose another 60 to 80% from its $50 level by the end of this decade or early the next. Here's the last one that I have listed here. Sell your business or hunker down and prepare for the sale of a lifetime on businesses in trouble or in bankruptcy, especially your competitors. This is the best opportunity to build your long-term market share and profitability as major companies like General Motors and General Electric did in the 1930s depression. Over to the next, profiting in business, the 9 most important principles for surviving and dominating in the years to come. Number 1, cash and cash flow are critical. Number 2, identify segments that you can clearly dominate. Number 3, develop a clear definition of your customers. Number 4, be lean and mean. Number 5, defer major capital expenditures. Number 6, focus on short-term investments. Number 7, sell non-strategic real estate. Number 8, identify in advance the competitors that you know are the weakest. Number 9, look at your employees and identify who is weak and questionable. Moving on over, profiting in real estate. Sell all non-strategic real estate for your business and personal use now. Your business is better to lease than own for the next several years. Keep your primary home, but only if you plan to stay in it for a long term. If you plan to downsize or move in the next few years, just sell right now. Certainly sell vacation homes that are not dear to your heart or that you don't use more than several weeks in a year. Profiting in emerging markets. Now here is pretty interesting because Mr. Dent Jr. critiques Adam Smith. Adam Smith, who's a much celebrated 18th century Scottish moral philosopher and the father of modern economics. So Adam Smith's theory is that rational self-interest and competition behave like an invisible hand guiding the free market and society toward innovation and economic growth. Harry S. Dent Jr. basically says that he's got it and it's definitely worked during that time and ongoing for the next couple of hundred years basically. But there's more to it than that Harry S. Dent Jr. adds on to. So listen to this because this is really interesting. He says, and I quote, "The real story is that there's more than one invisible hand. First is demographics. Second is urbanization." So he really dives into deep detail regarding this, but it's true what he's saying, though. It's true what he's saying. Demographics have a lot to play part in it. So from my own experience, I could tell you from living in the Bronx to moving to Queens, Queens is one of the most diverse counties on the entire globe. And I will say that demographics play a major portion as far as race, ethnicity, and even social class. So all that does take into account. You ever notice how, for example, you can have You can have a few people of a certain ethnic group live in one area. A couple of years go by, you may be seeing a lot more people of that very same ethnicity pretty much dominating in that neighborhood. You see that a lot, right? So in Queens, you have your neighborhoods where you have your Koreans. You have your neighborhoods where you have Colombians, right? You have all types of different demographics, and that does play a part in it, not just in Queens, but everywhere around the world. And so demographics have a part to play in it, even in social classes. If you take a look at Manhattan, New York right now, more towards the Midtown section, you can definitely see that the demographic there are people that are definitely upper middle class, mostly the wealthy class. So demographics do have a lot to play in it. Second is urbanization. And listen, cities are being developed everywhere. And what you want to do is get in before it becomes saturated. So I've had several conversations with several of my even family members about this. Like, for example, my brother, and I just pour in my thoughts to him sometimes. He's my younger brother. And basically I say that New York is super saturated. Of course, there are opportunities in New York, but it's super saturated. Where the real opportunities are at is cities that are just starting to get built. That's where it is. That's where it is for you to clearly dominate. You see, several years ago, the Trump family bought buildings in New York, and now those buildings are worth a whole lot more than they were bought for. So The Sale of a Lifetime is a great book to really help you understand how you should be capitalizing, okay, in the beginning of the next expansion, following the next bubble burst or recession or depression. So I hope you absorb some of these nuggets over here. You want to be a pioneer. You don't want to be a settler. The pioneers are the ones that cross the oceans, go through all the challenges, set up shop. And the settlers are the ones that are looking at everything that's going on. They wait for everything to settle down, right? They wait for urbanization to pretty much be somewhat developed. And then they come in. But they end up as the tenants, while you, the pioneer, the ones who capitalize during the sale of a lifetime, are the landlords. With that said, all right, I hope you absorb these nuggets, and I'll see you on the next episode.